LSU Bayou Bengals traveling to Cowtown, known as Starkville, take on the Mississippi State Bulldogs. I would love to rebrand Mississippi State as the Mississippi State Mud Dogs, but they've yet to respond to my email. So here we are, Mississippi State Bulldogs hosting the Tigers. This is going to be interesting. 12 o'clock kickoff, 11 o'clock Central Time on ESPN. Here we go. LSU, 9.5-point favorites. Over-under is 54.5. Seems mighty high to me.
Yeah. Yes, it does, because the thing that could influence my decision, which we'll see in a minute, is, again, the fact that this is at Mississippi State. And if we haven't said it 100 times on this podcast yet, I'm concerned for college teams on the road. Looking at you, LSU in this case, on the road.
Yeah.
Really wonder how their offense went buck wild against Grambling, or Louisiana's version of the Sisters of the Poor and Blind. Yet again, they went buck wild. They did their best to flush out the loss to FSU from week 1. But again, I worry about college teams on the road. There's just so many examples of losing games that were so winnable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we don't have to beat the horse quite into the ground any further.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's quite a high number. All that to say, quite a high number. Will Rogers, he's looked pretty strong so far this season with the newness, mainly not the competition level. That was a nice win that they pulled out against Arizona.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, what you thinking about this game?
I don't know what I'm thinking about this game. I'm actually just really looking forward to it. Looking forward to having it on my big TV. I'm interested to see Will Rogers for 60 minutes, though. Not a lot of national attention just yet, but this is going to be it for him. We've mentioned a lot in the offseason that, especially myself, that I think it's going to be a down year for him just because of total schematic changes, turning his back to the defenses, play action, stuff like that. That Mike Leach offense, RIP to that guy, to that man, to that pirate, total different offense, right?
Yeah.
So turning your back was just something you're never going to do. I like the Mississippi State ground game as well. I like this Marks kid. 43 carries, 250 yards, 3 scores. I think that if you're Mississippi State and you're going to try to win this game, you need to be incredibly balanced, and you need to be consistent in putting long drives together. LSU is going to score; they're going to find points. It's what Brian Kelly does. He puts drives together. He puts together solid teams for one. We know what kind of quarterback Jaden Daniels is. We know what kind of defense LSU has. Mississippi State, man, you're gonna have to put drives together. If you fail to put drives together, I mean, this is a loss in any regard, right?
Absolutely.
With that said, I've kind of just stumbled on my words here. As I think about this, that 9.5 for LSU feels a little low.
Okay. I hear you, but I'm gonna have to go the other direction. Again, all the things of this being on the road, of Mississippi State's running game looking better than I expected. JoJo Marks, I'm just giving him that nickname right now, leading the conference in rushing yards. I mean, things we didn't expect to see. Arizona's not like going out and playing Texas or, Wisconsin. It's not that level of brand, but they're on the rise as of late. So that was a nice win. You had to have it. If you're the new staff, Arnett and those guys down there. And again, I like the balance so far with mainly Will Rogers' accuracy and still completing the passes that he was before, despite now being a lot tougher. My concern is actually now more than ever going to be him turning his back to the defense, because he's not yet seen Mason Smith. Who knows how LSU is going to use Harold Perkins Jr. He's only got 6 tackles on the year, which is just egregious. I mean, it's what it is. So who knows how he's going to face that level of guy coming off the edge or perhaps blowing up the middle of his offensive line. That's my one concern. But again, clock's going to run because Mississippi State's running the ball. If he takes a sack, clock's going to run. You know what I mean? I think I'm going to ride Mississippi State to keep it right around that number and cover, but LSU to win the game, of course.
You're going to take Mississippi State to cover here.
I am. I feel like a crazy person, but I am going to do it.
I'll tell you what. I really like Will Arnett. Really like Arnett. Love their identity they've developed in 2 games in a defense. Well, even under the Mike Leach era, he seems very tense. But that post game interview with Cole Kubelik, I don't know if you caught that. He seems like a great guy that you would want to play for.
He really does.
He really, really does. Too much change though for me with this Mississippi State staff and schematics and stuff like that. I'm going to disagree. I'm going to take LSU to win. I'm going to take LSU to cover. I could see something like a 35-17 win, something like that.
Definitely, even though I'm picking Mississippi State to cover, totally see where you're coming from. It could totally fall that way, because just think if a turnover or anything goes LSU's direction, who knows how the battle will unfold. But I mean, anything that goes in their favor, you expect them to take their shots, get Daniels on the ground if they need to get the ball in the end zone, because that's what Brian Kelly does. He's a sound coach, and he's done this well for a really long time at this point. I do want to pose one thing to you before we wrap up. And of course, if you got anything else, hit me with it. But imagine the SEC West if Texas has already taken down Alabama, so we have questions about Alabama, and Mississippi State takes down LSU in week 3. Imagine the SEC West.
I'm smiling real hard. I like the way that sounds. Powers shifting to the East. I'm down, but obviously the divisions are gone after this year.
Yeah.
What a narrative that would be. I mean,
right.
I forget Brandon. Gosh, his name escapes me. Barstool
Walker.
Yeah, Brandon Walker, who not my favorite, but basically calling schools like Clemson and Alabama no longer elite, that they have fallen. But I'd love the direction of college football if Mississippi State gets this win.
Absolutely.
I just think it's too
tasty.
Oh, for sure. But I do think it's just too much for the Mud Dogs. I'm going to call them that anyway. Too much for Mississippi State to overcome. We both have LSU winning. You've got Mississippi State covering. I've got LSU covering.